It is the 21st of February. In 3 days from now, the war in Ukraine will be completing a year. A year of death, of destruction, of human misery. It is a war in which neither side appears on the verge of victory, and neither side appears ready to accept defeat. One could have said that there is a deadlock on the negotiating table, but the fact is that there is no negotiating table at all. So where really is this war headed? How will it play out in its second year? Could it escalate any further? Well, a speech that was made today may offer some answers. It was made by the leader who started this war, Vladimir Putin. And this afternoon, he appeared before his countrymen to deliver a State of the Nation address and talk about the next phase of this war. In attendance were hundreds of Russian government officials, oligarchs, journalists. Russian citizens watched the speech on their TV screens at home. This was Putin's first big speech since March 2022, and it came just a day after Joe Biden's address in Kiev on Monday, in which the American leader promised to stand with Volodymyr Zelensky for as long as it takes. And turns out his remarks were not entirely lost on the Russian president. President Putin began with a stunning shocker. He announced that Russia would suspend its participation in the nuclear treaty with the United States. The New START treaty signed in Prague in 2010. The name START comes from the original Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. It caps the number of strategic warheads which both the military superpowers, the US and Russia, can deploy. And Putin says he is done with those caps because the West just cannot stop crawling into Moscow's strategic nuclear objectives. Exact words spoken. Have a look.
They can't be silly people. They want to deliver a strategic defeat while crawling into our strategic nuclear objects. Regarding this, I have to say that Russia suspends its participation in New START treaty. Let me repeat, Russia does not abandon the treaty but suspends its participation. Before resuming the discussion of this treaty, we must first understand what do such countries of North Atlantic Alliance as France and Great Britain aspire, and how will we take their strategic arsenals into account.
And next, Vladimir Putin spoke about the West's condescension towards others, how it looks down upon countries which differ from its worldview, how badly it treats non-Europeans, and how Russians, despite spending so much money in Western countries, despite their wealth and titles, still remain second class for the West. Watch this now.
Yes, everyone has a choice. Some prefer to live till the end of their life in a seized mansion with their accounts blocked. Some will try to find a place in an attractive Western capital or resort or some other warm place abroad. Anyone has the right to do that. We do not even interfere with that. But it is already high time to understand that for the West, these people were and remain second-class aliens with whom they can do whatever they want. Neither money nor connections nor titles they have bought, counts, peers and mayors will help in any way. They must realize that they are second-rate over there.
And then he spoke about the conflict, how it did not start due to his decision to send tanks to Ukraine, but due to the West's never-ending quest for world domination. Due to the West's attempts of gaining unlimited power in global affairs. Listen to this.
Those who planned a new attack against Donetsk, against Donbass, Luhansk, they understood very well that attack on Crimea and Sevastopol were their next step. And we knew it, we saw it, and now in Kiev, they talk openly about such far-reaching designs. They have opened up. They revealed what we knew very well anyway. We protect people's lives, our homeland, and the West's goal is unlimited power.
And lastly, in his most important message to the NATO and the West, Putin proclaimed that Russia cannot be defeated. Not diplomatically, not in the information war, and definitely not on the battlefield. He said no matter how much the West tries to threaten Russia's existence, the country will bounce back, undeterred and indomitable.
The Western elites do not conceal their goals. As they say, it's a direct quote, to bring Russia a strategic defeat. What does it mean? What is it for us? It means to end us once and for all. It means they plan to turn a local conflict into a global confrontation. We understand it exactly like that. We will react to it accordingly. This is because, in this case, it is about the very existence of our country. However, they can't but be aware that Russia cannot be defeated on the battlefield, so they conduct more and more aggressive information attacks against us.
Now, what do we make of these remarks? Well, to start with, this speech made one thing absolutely clear, that this conflict is going to extend further because Russia is in no mood to back down. And secondly, decision makers in Western capitals will now have to negotiate better. Their current attempts have failed. And number three, the West needs to stop speaking from a position of strength and start looking at this as a war of equals. And I say this because the collective might of Western countries has failed to yield any concessions from Russia. If anything, it has only strengthened Putin's resolve. Perhaps the West needs to reconsider how it looks at this war and realize the full potential of the enemy that it is facing. If it is still not convinced, then perhaps it should look at some recent developments and gauge the people's mood in Europe. Reports say Biden's visit to Poland has fueled further skepticism among the people. Skepticism that the West's stubbornness will prolong this crisis. And they say they have lost faith in Joe Biden and his ability to end this conflict. You must listen to these voices.
I hope Biden's visit will change something, because I'm afraid it might not change a lot. Putin is Putin, and he's not afraid of anything and anyone. What can Biden do? I think he's already been doing a lot. Just like us, we do a lot as well. We help them. But what can he do? I don't know. It's a tough question because, as I said, I think it will not change much when it comes to Putin's attitude to this whole situation.
And then you have headlines like these. Ukraine's deputy foreign minister saying that they are not just fighting Russia anymore, they are also fighting Western fatigue in this war, that the people of Europe have lost the appetite for this war. And most of them do not want to step out of their comfort zones any longer. There is also a new report from the Carnegie Institute which predicts a dreadful future. It says out of all the scenarios as far as this war is concerned, the scenario of a forever war is the most likely. A forever war, a war without end. Similar to the permanent standoff on the Korean Peninsula or the standoff between India and Pakistan on the ceasefire line of Jammu and Kashmir. Because Russia under Putin will never be ready for a compromise, and Ukraine under Zelensky will never accept ceding any territory. At the end of the day, both sides will lose as the conflict drains their treasury for the purchase of costliest weapons in a war nobody is winning. And as if these warnings were not enough, China is slowly getting involved in this war. Look at this headline. China's top diplomat Wang Yi is set to visit Russia. This visit was announced shortly after the US said that China could soon be supplying weapons to Russia, a charge that Beijing has vehemently denied. But as they say, there is no smoke without fire. So we wonder, what could Wang Yi's visit to Moscow possibly be about? We should not forget that Putin went to Beijing to meet Xi Jinping before he invaded Ukraine. Putin positioned this war as a response to American strategic aggression on the doorstep of Russia. China believes that America's military and strategic support to Taiwan has brought America to China's doorstep. Does it indicate unity of Russia and China against the United States? President Zelensky has said that if China helps Russia, the regional conflagration will escalate into a world war. Is the West ready for one? Is the question.